Ramona, can you introduce me?
The MedBricks webcast is focused on bringing distinguished Indians and others from diverse fields of science, medicine, technology, and philosophy to learn from each other and to create a new understandings and foster new ideas related to healthcare. Hey, good morning, India. Good afternoon, England. Good evening, California, and sleepy time in East Coast. Welcome you all. My name is this is a MedBix webcast, host of the webcast. My name is Ramana Namaraju. Today we have a very distinguished guest, Sherri Diwali. I'm still having a hard time. I thought only Indian names are harder. But anyway, welcome you all. And we are going to talk about. Let me before I introduce guest. We This is a healthcare multimedia channel. We are on live on 8 streaming channels, and then we are putting a precedence in a sense that we are doing a different kind of approach in the healthcare media because nowadays the representatives cannot go to the doctor's offices and they're reluctant to meet a doctor. The doctors are reluctant to meet the medical reps, either pharmaceutical reps or the device reps or insurance reps. So the best way to media is to attract the doctors to listen to our program. We have very good response from the doctors, and they love watching us. And a lot of allied healthcare people are watching us. Thank you all. It was a hard work. Thank you, Jennifer from Omaha. She helped me quite a bit. I wrote a book. That's the content of that book is this one. We talk about history and everything. But anyway, well, let me introduce you the guest, Sherri Diwali is she has to excuse me on this one. Is a founder of a health technology communication platform company called Medigram, based in Silicon Valley. She is one of the highest ranked tech executives on Crunchbase. She is the editor of critically acclaimed book Mobile Medicine, Mobile Medicine, probing the minds of 27 multidisciplinary and multi-industry leaders to solve healthcare challenges. Welcome, Sherri. Uh, Let me bring you there. Sherri is going to be Sherri. Oh, sorry. Let me just bring Sherri on
Hi
this.
there.
Hi,
Thank,
Sherri.
thank
Let
you.
me Sherri explain a little bit. Introduce yourself. What is your little bit background of your words?
Oh, sure. So my name, I pronounce Douville, Sherri Douville, and I'm CEO at Metagram. I'm super passionate about driving and scaling and defining mobile computing in medicine. So as Ramana mentioned, we wrote the best-selling book on it titled Mobile Medicine: Overcoming People, Culture, and Governance. And we just submitted our third book on advanced healthcare technology to a top academic book publisher, Taylor and Francis. So, as CEO and board member of Metagram, an early stage health IT company, I'm honored to build and lead cross functional, multidisciplinary teams of industry leaders. We bring together world class experts to co author books on mobile computing and advanced technology in medicine. And I'm lucky to get to also help lead a group responsible for international technical standards development as co chair of Trust for Clinical IoT through IEEE and UL joint venture. I enjoy collaborating with industry leaders of all functions, including governments, professional associations, and academics in our drive to define mobile medicine. Previously, I worked over a decade in healthcare sales and marketing at Johnson and Johnson, and there I was lucky to win numerous awards, both within the company and in the industry, while operating in what is a highly regulated environment. And that's a little bit about my background.
So, yeah, let me bring you and then let us do the presentation, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions after that. Let me, yeah, that's just 1 second. I'm going to,
Yeah, you want to go to the agenda slide?
yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So, Medigram.
This is my first time using Restream, so it's interesting.
Yeah, this is
Thanks for teaching me something new. Yeah.
yeah, this is a little bit different than a lot of other places, but
Yeah.
you have
We
to.
met at Thai, didn't we?
Oh, pardon me.
Didn't we meet at Thai?
I met you at Thai. Yes, I remember meeting you, Thai. I vividly remember. At the time, you were doing the communication, kind of a new thing at the time. HIPAA
Yeah.
regulations came in, and they were kind of you're in the mobile communication side of it.
That's
I
right.
I have a glimpse of that what you do at the time. I didn't know. I didn't go into the dwell into it too much. Now we can talk about that, and you will know. We'll know what you do exactly. Go ahead. Shall I?
Yeah.
Let me know whenever you want me to move. I move the slides for you.
Yeah, I already talked about me. We just submitted our third book with top academic book publishers Taylor and Francis and Springer, defining the field of mobile medicine and advanced healthcare technology. If you want to go to the agenda slide to let the audience know what we're going to cover. Next slide. Yeah, so Ramana asked to cover, why the practice of medicine really is on the cusp of enormous change, and while they'll be looking at learning about a lot of other disciplines, especially to enable technology, why we're doing what we do at Metagram, which is to solve a leading cause of preventable death, which is a delay in information. And then also to talk about kind of what needs to happen in order to get the benefits of technology that everybody wants to see in medicine. And then Ramana asked me to talk about a little bit from the insider view of what to expect and what to know about the Oracle and Cerner merger for the future of healthcare IT. And then further to talk about, why security is mission critical in healthcare right now. And then lastly, a little bit about what our company does. And so that's what we're going to go through this evening. Do you want to go to the next slide? Yeah, so these are just some screenshots that Elsevier, who's a highly esteemed academic journal publisher, put out, and they just did a study of 3,000 clinicians, and great news that they expect technology to have a huge impact, but there's a challenge that we should all know about, and that challenge is that they worry that it'll have a disproportionate, that we'll see a lot of disparities in how that impact gets delivered, and that we need to watch out for that. And then they're also, asking for help and saying that the majority are saying that the way that they're being trained today is not setting them up for success for what we all want to see, which is technology-enabled medicine. And so really the report in Elsevier, I encourage everybody to just, you can just search online, Elsevier, clinician of the future report, and pull it down and take a look at it, so that we can all work together to help clinicians thrive in the future. You want to go to the next slide? Yeah, so the thing that gets me really excited about what I do every day is that I have a lot of physicians who are friends and family, and it is so hard for them to do what they need to do to practice medicine, because there is nothing that allows them to communicate where they are, whenever they need to exchange information in a secure way that's reliable, because cell phones were not made for clinical environments, and so they often don't work in those environments. And so we've just been really inspired by and driving to eradicate really a leading cause of preventable death, and that is that information does not get where it needs to be. And this happens, every 9 minutes, everywhere, according to the esteemed Institute for Healthcare Improvement. And that's what drives us. And it can be a number of different use cases. I know, Ramana, you'd asked if there was one. And there isn't really one because it's happening all the time. But the most common times where you see where time is tissue, according to a physician, are in cases like neurology and cardiology, where you really have to have that input from a teammate who's got like an MRI scan or who's got an interpretation of a test that's happened. And you can't, as the consulting physician, make your next move until you have that information from your teammate. And today, they don't have a good way to do that. Today, they have to either log into a desktop, which is not always there or convenient, or they have to try to do it through consumer SMS messages, which are not secure and they also are not reliable. And so a lot of times they don't get them. Also in the United States, I'm not sure what's happening in India exactly. I'd love to hear from a doctor in India. But what they try to do in the US because of our laws is that they try to send anonymous information, which is actually can be very confusing and challenging for the care team. So instead of saying my name, if I had some sort of health issue, they would say, Asian brunette, in her early 40s, and not use my name because they don't want to violate HIPAA. So that's what gets me up and excited to solve this challenge. Do you want to go to the next slide? Yeah, so this is a culmination of what I think we learned. I've been CEO of Metagram for over 7 years now. And really, we're seeing, especially recently, with the US government putting out an advisory to basically be careful what health apps you use and really advising people to consider not using them because there is a privacy challenge with a lot of these health apps. And so what's really becoming clear is that there's really a marked difference between what consumers should expect for consumer technology and what you really need to do for medical technology, right? And if you look at all the things that a medical grade company needs to build trust and adoption in medicine, especially in the US. Again, I know it's a little bit different in India where there's a lot of work with pharmacists, but that means that you need to look at everything you have to do for enterprise grade software, business to business. And then you have to also add a lot of things that are medical technology specific, especially if you want to do business in the States or, for example, in Western Europe or certain Asian countries. And so that's what this picture is about, is to show you what you expect with normal business to business software, and then what you have to actually add on top of that, plus what you normally do with business to business software, is all of these medical specific things, or else you just won't see any response, right, from the medical community. And that's what this picture is about. Did you want to go to the next slide, Raman? Okay, so Raman had asked me to cover the Oracle Cerner deal, which was, Oracle, as everybody knows, huge enterprise software company, and they purchased Cerner, multi-billion-dollar deal. And so there's a few ways to look at this particular deal. First off, I got some great information, and this graphic on the left is from John Moore, who is the founder of an advisory firm called Chilmark, and they specialize in healthcare analytics. And basically, in John's recent report, which the title is here, you can also look it up online, is that he's saying that they have some good assets that Cerner has that Oracle can leverage, in particular in revenue cycle management. They've got something called Revelate. It's expected to go live later this year. And then they also have a life sciences, a data platform called Cerner and Visa. And that these two assets are going to be potential areas for growth. He also talks about how Cerner has good adoption abroad, ex-US, and so how Oracle will be able to leverage and have synergies with the international market. And so the other thing that he says in the report is that Oracle has a lot of experience in financial technology, and that can help with the new revenue cycle management platform. It's expected to come out later in the year, and that'll really help because the competitor to Cerner, which is the big player Epic, has a revenue cycle management solution, and that they also have Oracle has a robust life sciences business And so that's again where he sees Cerner and Oracle having a lot of synergy working together there. So the key takeaways from a business perspective are that we're not sure exactly what it's going to mean in terms of cloud adoption for either company, because Cerner has current obligations for instances that are running on Amazon Web Services. They also have a core product called Millennium that analysts say will take years to migrate to the cloud. And then also at the same time, just from a market perspective, especially here in the US and then somewhat in Europe, that healthcare C-suites and boards are still really worried about cloud performance and security. And so what we just encourage you to do, if you want to learn more about this particular market, because that's not our market at Metagram, we do mobile medicine. But if you want to learn about the EMR market, which is a very mature market, then see John's blog, which the title is here. You can look it up online. But he has insightful predictions for all the major players in the EHR market. Now, what you'll see on the right, and what I'm interested in, because I'm all about mobile medicine, is that there is going to be a future where we see data liquidity, and it's not here yet, but it is actually in the works. So there are data elements that are getting formatted in something called Fast Health Interoperability Resources here in the U.S. We do expect international adoption of that, and I have a Medium post that I keep updated with a lot of industry leaders, and we update it periodically every time there's new data elements that go live. Like recently they had added some lab elements, so you can see exactly where we are, because I actually think that I see the future in terms of devices, data, connectivity, applications, and interoperability, and with that you need data liquidity. And so that's why I follow data liquidity very closely, which is very different from the kind of computing paradigm or business that you see Cerner and Oracle really playing in for the most part right now. And so if you want to stay up to date with data liquidity in medicine, then look me up on Medium. And this is the title of the post, is How Data is Failing Medicine Today, and when data can become actually useful. And with my name, Sherri Douville, and I do keep it updated, like I said, with industry leaders. And so you can always see what's happening with data liquidity, which is what I think is the future. Did you want to go to the next slide, Ramana? Yeah, so health security in healthcare is really coming to the forefront. Hasn't always been a priority if you think about medicine and its history and how it's been sort of a cottage industry, with physician offices, and how the emphasis has always been how it should be focused on delivering care. At the same time, with all the attacks on healthcare organizations, it is important to understand that if you want to do business in America, the first thing you're going to care about is what's your security profile, and that needs to be pretty good, or else they're just not gonna want to talk to you at all, just because they just know that it's just such a big challenge. So I know you guys can all read all the points here, but this was put together by a healthcare industry cybersecurity task force, which is sponsored at the federal level. And it sort of explains, why it's so critical. But basically, good security is good patient care, because if you lose access, to records, and you lose access to data, then you can't deliver timely care. And so that's the role that security is taking, an ever more prominent role that will continue to grow in healthcare. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah.
So like we were saying before, we live in a world where someone dies every 9 minutes due to a delay in information in healthcare environments. And this is according to the esteemed Institute for Healthcare Improvement. So the problem of a delay in information being a leading cause of preventable death in the healthcare system hasn't been solved yet, because the technical problem requires a unique technical solution combined with a sophisticated implementation approach. The Metagram allows clinicians to communicate when nothing else works on mobile. As we mentioned, mobile phones weren't made for healthcare environments and don't work in them much of the time. So we designed a software solution for that. Metagram owns the IP for receiving and providing communications and alerts in the clinical environment. And so the design is obviously the technical solution to the technical part of the problem. But the challenge is, and the opportunity is that it's actually so much bigger than a technical endeavor. Like I showed you on an earlier slide, showing you everything that you need to do in medical technology. That's in addition to enterprise software, that you really have to build the right team, and you have to have that environment and culture to solve for this space. And it starts, with having excellent customer industry experience. So Metagram has built a world-class multidisciplinary team, including a Stanford-trained physician executive, formerly chief medical officer at a variety of health systems, Dr. Art Douville, our chief medical officer, the former senior director of IT at Merck, Joe Mulhern, who serves as head of revenue. And then, if you want to go to the next slide, we could just wrap up by saying like deep industry expertise is critical, but you also need cutting edge technical and security skills. As I was mentioning, that's become one of the highest priorities in this market. And you have compliance requirements, but you also have other requirements. We have a recognized leader in information security and technology with both startup and healthcare enterprise experience, Eric Svekov, who's a CTO Chief Security Officer. And then myself, as I mentioned, I'm the CEO. I'm co-chair of the IEEE Trust Technical Standard Project for this industry, co-author of multiple books and technical papers, and editor and lead author of Mobile Medicine, which is a bestseller on Amazon for medical informatics and medical technology. So to deliver to patients and clinicians in a way that brings to bear business and clinical value, you really need to have an extraordinary constellation of skills across healthcare administration, medicine, technology, privacy, and cybersecurity. And that's been our focus at Metagram.
Very good, Sherry. You know, data communicate is a question. Data communication is, as you just mentioning, was how important it is. But at the end of the day, electronic medical records, the goal is to communicate with the patients in a crisp and clear language. That is a big time missing. That communication is there anything you're doing that in that direction of the communicating the medical data to the patients is a critically important as reaching the doctor the information also.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think ultimately the answer is yes. And I would also just say it has to be balanced with compliance and privacy and security, as well as business model, right? And so right now, patients and the public, they don't really pay for privacy and security, although hospitals and clinics really demand it, and you really can't do business with them without it. And so as a vendor meaning us as Metagram, we can't afford to provide a highly private, highly secure system with an implementation model, with training, with support to patients who don't value that, who don't want to pay for privacy and security and don't want to pay for training, if that makes sense. So if you look at it from a high level, Roman, I would just say that there was a recent report out of a push to make data widely available from a public health perspective in the US. And I would love to know what's happening in India. But in the US, it's going to take about 10 years. So I do think eventually the patient communication and the clinician communication will converge, but it's going to have to hinge on both the data being available to be useful about the patient, as well as the business model to be there for the patient. Now, the business model is there for health systems today because they're getting attacked, right, by nation state actors constantly. So they want to have a highly secure environment. So they will pay for security. And so that's the challenge today. Does that answer your question?
Yes. You mentioned a little bit about interoperability. So interoperability is a challenging issue, is a political and a technical issue. So how far it is a challenge. How do you want to solve technically? You can do solve politically that, but technically, what are the solutions for the interoperability solutions?
Yeah, so that's why I put the title to my blog on that slide with the Cerner and Oracle deal, because Cerner has their vision of what they want to do. I'm sorry, Oracle has their vision of what they want to do with Cerner, right? And then at the same time, that's a very desktop oriented vision of like a desktop to desktop. In order to make that valid for a mobile environment, like a lot of our physicians in the US or pharmacists in India need to have, it really isn't, it can't be the same formats that you have on the desktop. You really need to have data elements. And so the technical solution to data elements is this application programmable interface called FHIR, which is Fast Health Interoperability Resources. And in my blog, I explain exactly what it is, because it's two things. It's a transport standard to connect. So like it would connect something like a metagram to something like a Cerner. So it connects, but then there's also data elements and interfaces through the API. And so there's two ways of exchanging the data, because as you know, interoperability is a very broad term. It can mean, is there technical interoperability? Is there, semantic interoperability, right? And so if you really want to get useful information to the clinician, whether it's a physician in the US or a pharmacist in India, they really need those data elements, the clinical data elements. And that's all explained in my blog, which is posted on that slide.
So one of the slides you said that is a product versus company, company versus product. To explain to that a little bit, their focus should be the company should be the product. The company should be the focus, not the company goals, or not the product should be the focus. Tell me.
I really respect how IBM, their CEO recently was giving an interview, and they had mentioned that the reason why they sold their healthcare division was because they didn't have the domain expertise for healthcare. And I think that really says everything, right? Because so many companies want to think that they can bring a product into medicine, but that's just really not how medicine works. And that, so in terms of the slide showing product versus company, I depicted all the things that you need to build trust with the medical community, to build trust with the ecosystem, which is much broader than just having a product that might work in healthcare. And then at the same time, most products don't work in healthcare, right? You have to really understand the environment and start from there, and figure out if what you're proposing actually works in the environment.
So, Sherri, thank you so much. You gave now. Hang on for a while, and I'm going to do a presentation. Then I may ask you a couple of questions after that. The thing is that you're saying that on all of them, the center is the information is the vital role it plays everywhere.
Right.
So that is what I'm going to talk about. What is information means? That's what I'm going to talk about it. This is about Richard Feynman and his information relationship. So Richard Feynman is a theoretical physicist, a very celebrated theoretical physicist. Let me bring you both of us in the side, if I can. Yeah. So he's a celebrated theoretical physicist. He's from University of Berkeley. He was in Berkeley. Then he was in the Caltech. Most of the time he spent in Caltech. So I will talk about a little bit about what he thought about. But he's a colorful character. Richard Feynman is a party man. He used to go to a strip club called Giviani in Pasadena, and he wrote all these equations in a strip club. He used to play banjo drums, and he was writing all his equations on the back of the drink mats, and they went for $5 million for the auctions. In auction, all his equations is scribbles on the drink mats. So he is a very interesting character, no question about it. But he's a brilliant genius. His lectures are very well known among particularly physicists. I have a master's in physics, so we all know about Richard Feynman. This is his, he gave us several lectures on gravitation and the computers and all those things. His lectures are outstanding, even today, even so relevant. He is that good. His lectures are. He was mentioned several times in the TV series called Big Bang Theory. That is, he mentioned his lectures and him. They talk about a lot about him in the series. But what is he won the Nobel Prize in the quantum electrodynamics. I don't want to go into the quantum physics now, but I can tell you simple terms how the why I asked the question, Sherry, before, is that why doctors need to know different fields to get exposure. It's very important you need to get exposure. So what that, at least introduction to that other subjects. Here is what happens in the life. He won the Nobel Prize for the quantum electrodynamics, simply in a layman terms, how the light interacts with the matter or elementary particles among themselves. How the light. So if you connect a bulb to the battery, the electrons, current means electrons going to the bulb, and they bump into the electrons in the bump into the atoms in the bulb, and they create a friction. What it does is it creates heat, and then it bumps the electrons in the atoms in the filament to the outer orbit, the next orbit. When you bump into the next orbit, usually it releases, or sometimes it absorbs, but most of the time it releases a photon. That photon could be, if it is a certain wavelength, 100, 400 to 700 nanometers, that's a visible spectrum. That you can see the light. That's what you see, all the lights you see. That is a visible spectrum. It has to be 400 to 700 nanometers. If we give a lot more heat or a lot more energy or voltage, what it does is then it pushes the with a higher energy, the photon with a different wavelength comes. That is X-ray. That's where you use the X-ray for that. So it's basically is all electromagnetic radiation is going with the different wavelengths. Different wavelengths, gamma radiation for the use for the cancer treatment is a much more higher frequency, much more smaller. For example, if you see 400 to 700 nanometers or visible spectrum, and if you see the zero point 0.01 to 10 nanometers or the X-ray, that's where. So we have to give a lot more energy to this atom, so that it expels the electron with a much more higher speed with a photon. Eventually, that's what it is. So it is the interaction with the particles among the particles causes that. That's what he was won the Nobel Prize. Is very famous for Feynman diagrams. All the physicists we have to read. So all of them are gamma rays, X rays, or visible spectrum. They're all electromagnetic radiation. They're part of the
That's
same radiation with a different wavelength and different frequencies. That's all it is. So he won the Nobel Prize. He gave the wonderful pictorial description of the interaction among the elementary particles. So he wrote a book on the computers from the inside and outside, and inside and out. So he's one of the first few guys who really gave a opening to the computers industry to flourish. He won, so he's a quantum physicist. Quantum physicist is quantum phenomena. I will explain to you what is quantum phenomena in a second. But before that, he wanted to simulate quantum computers. Now, quantum computers are, I tell you why it is important. These quantum computers, he wanted to simulate the classical computer on a classical computer. Classical computer is 1 and 0. He wanted to simulate the quantum phenomena on the classical computer. Then he found out it cannot work. At that time, at least, it did not work. It cannot work because the quantum principles would not allow that. That's what was, uh, sorry, that
well, that's a lot like mobility, because desktop web app computing doesn't work well for mobility. So it's a
correct,
good analogy.
correct. So quantum computers, there is a lot of now. People are thinking all the space. There is a lot of race in the space between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Actually, the real war is with the quantum computers. IBM is number one. So she's talking about IBM. Sherry is talking about IBM CEO is from my hometown, actually, from back home in India. So, so and then Microsoft is also from southern India. They're all Indian guys, though, all of them except Intel and Amazon. So IBM, Microsoft, Google, Intel, they're all is the holy grail of the computing quantum computers. they want to do. They are the first ones who want to reach. It is practical, it is pragmatic, and it is possible. So they're all rushing towards this holy grail of the quantum computing. What are the applications of the quantum computing? So there are several applications. One, and let me give you first speed. It is if you take a laptop, the quantum computer is 100 million times faster than a laptop. Think about 100 million times, not one or two times. 100 million times faster than the laptops. The
Yeah.
data storage, the data it can handle is a 5 million laptops every day it can handle. 5
Wow.
million laptops. One quantum computer can handle that. Think about the power of the quantum computing. It'll push you into the different levels itself. So how does it? What is a layman quantum computer? What is a quantum computer? Is a lot of people ask. I wanted. I'm a quantum physicist. I'm a physicist, but I don't want to go into the quantum phenomena. Explaining all the equations. It's simply way to explain that is with a mouse and a cheese. Is a maze there. The cheese is the cheese at the end. So the mouse in a classical computer, this mouse travels and tries trial and error method. It keeps going, hitting the wall, come back, hitting the wall, come back, keeps on trying several times. Eventually, in a series of steps, eventually it reaches the cheese. That is the go. That is the way classical computers work in general, if you in the overall picture. But in the quantum computer, something strange happens. That mouse becomes a ghost mouse. It splits into all possible paths. It becomes a several ghosts. The particle, the mouse becomes a several ghosts and travels in all possible paths to the cheese at one time and pick up the shortest distance, the one that is successful. It picks up back come back and fix that distance. That is the power of the quantum computing. So it's not really a compute. It's not a computing much. It is actually working on a very strange phenomena. It is the quantum. The phenomena is that it becomes a ghost particle, ghost mouse, and then splits into several ghosts, and then reach the mouse, reach the cheese. That is the top end, if I can, the layman's explanation. But if you want me to give you a little bit more detail, the bits are, even the classical computer, the bits are is all the computer is guided by 0 and 1, 1 and 0. That's it. 0, either it switch is on, switch is off. So if a qubit is, it's a both. It is superimposition. It is both 0 and 1. So that's what the quantum computers act. It has both of them same time. So 0 and 1 is a classical computer, and 0 1 is a mixed together, is a superimposition. A lot of times my son asks me, what is superimposition, dad? Superposition is, what is superposition? So I give you one example of superposition is, if we take two gloves, and you put in the two different boxes, your son came down and you switch it back. You have your winter gloves, you put it somewhere, and your son or daughter go there and play around it, and then put in the two different boxes. So you were looking for the glove. So you open one box, that's a left hand glove is there. So you automatically know that other box has a right hand glove. But that is not a superposition. So that is a correlation. Correlation means that is left hand is there, so you know that right hand is there. That is a correlation. What is superposition is more trickier than that. Actually, when the box will not take a position until you open the box, either left or right. It just magically, it takes one, without any preference, it takes the left hand or right hand. It doesn't prefer, without any preference, it takes a left hand or right hand. So that is the trick of the superposition. So it is not the correlation. It is a more trickier than that. It's a quantum. They're all related. Superposition and a quantum entanglement is, you take two particles correlate with the correlated particles, two coherent process. You take a billion miles away, they affect each other. One spin up, other one spin goes down. So the same thing as the gloves. So they act. It doesn't matter how much distance it is. So it is like they communicate without no known communication. There's no communication between them. But we don't understand it. Still, it is a God's effect, they call. We don't know really what exactly. That's called a measurement problem. It is a measurement problem in physics. These are the principles, very strange principles, counterintuitive principles guide the quantum computers. So that is the fundamental basic principles of the process. So what is a you know the in a classical computer, everything about each individual parts, all the parts, and the sum of the parts. But in the quantum computer, you do not know, about everything about a system, but you don't know anything about individual systems inside the parts. That is the difference. You don't know anything about inside what it is, but you know the whole system. That is the difference between the classical and the quantum computers in general. So this is a so what is the quantum computing in healthcare? What is that IBM is suggesting? This is the three things they want to come back with the quantum computers they want to solve. One is a diagnostic assistance. So, for example, in a diagnostic side, the image processing is a big thing. If we have for example, breast cancer detection is one of the most challenging ones. It's like finding in mammogram is finding a needle in the haystack. It is that complex. So if you have a data, imaging data quite a bit, and process the data in a high level and the real time, then it's possible that really you can find a exact diagnosis. So the reason is, only they say that is very surprising. The IBM analysis is that 5 to 20% is actually diagnosis really perfectly related to the medical care. The rest of them we don't know, is unknown factor. That's surprising. So what doctors think everything they know about, only 20% maximum they say that the diagnosis is connected with the medical care. Then second one is outcome from the medical care is precision medicine, right? Precision medicine is social, environmental. Medicine is, precision medicine is very complex. I was listening yesterday, is the telomeres, for example, telomeres that you use, that erases feeling of a discrimination. Feeling of a discrimination shortens the telomeres, their lifespan, shortens the lifespan. Can you believe that? Just a feeling of a discrimination, feeling that telomeres can be shortened, or the rate of depression goes down in the telomeres. So there's a precision medicine. We need to know is social and environmental, social determinants are very important. That's actually the medical care is 20%, 80% are other factors, environmental, social, and other factors are involved. So we need to get the complex system. We need to have a quantum computer for that. It can do very well. The second one is the pricing. Pricing, they say risk analysis. So I'm not sure. I don't believe in that thing. There's you don't need a quantum computer, but the IBM suggests that risk analysis can be much more powerful. You can reduce the premiums. I'm not sure about that. Premiums, they know already what premium they can reduce. But they say quantum computer can reduce the premiums by giving a much more clear risk analysis, much more clear. So the next one is the so what is the difference between quantum computer healthcare and the precision healthcare quantum computers can do regular healthcare? It is saying patient-related umbrella diagnosis, umbrella recipient, giving a guessed work. Precision medicine is when you use quantum computers, it gives you precisely granular health. Exactly, exactly you need to what cocktail you can give that common combo diseases you can treat. It is extremely at the cellular level, singular cellular level. You can deal with that. That is a power of the precision medicine in the future. Then chronic diseases. We don't know all the mechanisms yet. So quantum computers, for example, when the COVID outbreak, Summit Computer and the Oak Ridge Laboratories, they wanted to find out which medicines can work, existing medicines work. And the Summit is the fastest computer on the planet. It's based in Oak Ridge National Laboratories in Tennessee. So it came out with 80 drugs, actually possible drugs, existing drugs can cure COVID. That was a possible thing they came out. So quantum compute. The reason is much more complex. Is that I will talk about another subject, the Srinivasa Ramanujan subject, and Fourier transformations. These are the when you do protein folding jump into the gigantic numbers. You cannot even imagine the numbers, jillion numbers. That's to handle that numbers. Protein folding is the way the protein dances around and trying to get into the cell. The combinations of permutations are unfathomable. Only you need a quantum computer can solve that. One of the problem. Another thing is airline roads, a traveling salesman problem. Other problems are the non-polynomial mathematicians, all those things. But in the medicine, I can tell you, they can clearly define the chronic mechanisms and the vaccines and the drug discovery. They can do very well actually through the quantum computer. That's the reason there is a big rush for that.
Hmm.
So what is done, there is a storage problem, right? Now we are storing the cloud storage is we used to be our hard drives that used to go bad in within 5 years, 2 years, or you drop them, it's gone. Now we have a cloud storage. Everybody, Azure and Amazon, they're all claiming the cloud. Even that has limitations. After a while, they're all physical, right? Information, information is they went inside that is there. So the memory is a magnetic thing that they're stored. They eventually go bad. Even optical doesn't matter. They go bad. So if you can store in the DNA through bacteria, you can store in DNA, it can stay up to 500 years. The storage capacity between the USB 100 million HD movies, you can do maximum compact. You can put one bacteria, 100 million HD movies. Amazing. The Microsoft did this work in Seattle, Washington University together. So that's a future storage capacities are going to be DNA storage. We are going to use the DNA, manipulate the DNA to store. So quantum, so there's a quantum biology is a new field is coming up. Is a quantum biology is so one of the things is that quantum biology is a new field where we thought that quantum phenomena happens in higher temperatures, warm temperatures. It will not happen. It does not happen in the warm temperatures. It has to be absolute, close to absolute zero. That's a quantum phenomena. You can see it. But they found out the nature found a way to trick the quantum nature way to it found a way to exhibit the quantum phenomena through this process. I tell you, this is a photoelectric effect, photosynthesis. When you see a photon, it falls on the retina and goes back to the visual cortex. The same phenomena actually Einstein invented with the photoelectric cell, the solar battery. But solar battery is a 50%. Our eye is 100% efficient than a solar battery. Solar battery is only 50% efficient. Why we are so efficient? So they wanted to investigate on that. What they found is astonishing. What they found is when photon falls on the retina, it splits into the ghost particles that I was mentioning you. That it goes to the possible all paths. The photon becomes split into all possible paths, travel at the same time, all the visual cortex, go to that and pick up the shortest distance and come back. So that's why it's so efficient. Our visual cortex is way efficient than solar battery because of that power. Is a quantum phenomena is happening. There is a lot of I'm going to talk about a little bit more tomorrow about the quantum phenomena. You will see that it's very interesting. So eyes exhibit, our mind, our brain exhibit quantum phenomena. That's a quantum tunneling happens. What is the quantum enzymes, for example? Without enzymes, we would have been dead in a second because carbonic acid, which is a carbon dioxide, you inhale or exhale carbon dioxide, you exhale the carbon dioxide, you inhale the oxygen, and then take the oxygen, take out the carbon dioxide. If we without our enzymes, enzymes are catalysts. If without enzymes, we would have accumulated the carbon dioxide and would have been dead. But the enzymes, they act very strange here. What they found is quantum tunneling. It goes from lower potential barrier to higher potential barrier. Like water going from bottom to the top. You never see water flowing from bottom to the top, always top to the bottom. But in this case, It goes the bottom to the top. It is like it violates the classical principle. Quantum tunneling happens. It magically appears on the other side. That is the so it is the enzymes in our body exhibit in the biology, quantum biology. There is a lot of other things happen. For example, the navigation of the robin bird, it uses an electric magnetic. The people, the robin birds in England, they migrate from different places and they come back to the same place. The reason is they navigate through quantum phenomena, quantum tunneling phenomena, and also people can smell they say the different northern Italian wines are subtly very subtle difference. Very few people can differentiate between the northern Italian wines to southern Italian wines. Only way you can do that is they say that receptors in our body only we have 400 receptors, but we can recognize up to 10,000 receptor, 10,000 smells. You can recognize that. So smell is the longest standing thing. That is one of the memories. So they say that because of the quantum tunneling, that you can have the 10,000 variations can come from that quantum tunneling. So quantum universe is a very strange, very interesting. We saw the black hole in the center of our universe we have a black hole. Our universe, the Milky Way, as a Sagittarius A, is the center of the black hole. That's where we found out. They took that is an actual picture of the black hole in center of the universe. An unknown space. A space is no. A space time goes berserk there. It is no unknown space time, and then where the light cannot escape, nothing can escape. It disappears somewhere. We do not know exactly all the mystery behind the black hole. But if you see quantum computers, the same principle they use, the exact same, they use the same physics they use in the quantum computer and the black hole physics, exactly same physics. The entropy of the physics, they use the entropy mechanism to figure it out. The quantum physics, the qubit actually they got it from the black hole entropy. They applied in the qubit mathematics actually. So quantum computers is a black hole physics. Surprisingly, is a hologram error corrections, and all those corrections happen because of the black hole. You applied the same thing in the quantum computers. So I met one of the friends of Richard Feynman, his very close friend, Leonard Susskind. He is from Stanford. I met him in one of the functions I'm in Atlanta now. I don't live in Silicon Valley. I used to live in Silicon Valley, but for a physicist, he's like a god. Richard Feynman and Leonard Susskind, they're all gods. And I met him and his wife, wonderful, in one of the shows. But Richard Feynman said that he is the only understood. It's very outstandingly explained. Nature is not a classical domain. He always thought nature itself is basically a quantum phenomena. It's we only perceive classical thing, but it is a nature in embeds in the quantum phenomena. So I I want to bring a little bit, and after this, and let me bring. So thank you for listening. I'm going to play one video where you can buy, and then let me bring this Sherri, and then we can talk a little bit. Uh, Sherri, thank you for I gave this is the one thing I wanted to give lessons to the doctors, to something different. They can learn how the healthcare works in other areas. Your one of the book that I was fascinated is a multi that you edited that book is a multi-industry leaders, philosophers, the artists. That's one of the things is that it's important you learn. I used this concept in the quantum physics concept, for example, is in the healthcare. You say that healthcare should be discrete, and in the physics, the light is a both particle and a wave duality. The wave, it exhibits both phenomena at the same time. Can you do that in healthcare? I thought this idea you can do that because the price can be very discrete. Price transparency should be discrete, and the prices should be discrete, and the care for patients should be continuous. It is seamless. You can apply that concept in this. So you can take the concepts from different fields, and really admire your book, and that the editor of the book, you felt that need for people to understand. Explain to me a little bit your journey to the mobile medicine book.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and Mobile Medicine is available on Amazon, and still a bestseller. And I appreciate you bringing it up. So, the thing is that we need to continue building this infrastructure. And infrastructure isn't just the technical infrastructure that you and I talked about in terms of interoperability, but it's also the skills, right? And so I had a chance to also have a discussion that some people from Stanford hosted with the India government, and what we did was just emphasize that you really want to make sure people have the skills too to use the data, right, and to help the physicians. And so the point I was trying to make with Mobile Medicine, the book, and also this presentation, is that we really need to have teams of people working on healthcare that includes the doctor, with the doctor playing a leading role. But in order for the doctor to be a great leader, that they need to learn about all these other elements of bringing technology into medicine to helping improve the patient care. And so that's what inspired the book Mobile Medicine.
Sherri, what is your website? They want to go and see your website, medigram.com, right?
Yes, medigram.com, medigram.com.
So your email address is sherry at
SHERRI at medigram.com. I also post a lot on LinkedIn, and anyone can follow me there under my first and last name, which is on the screen right here, SHERRI, last name DOUVILLE. And so a lot of people also stay up to date with me there.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I'm going to play just a quick video for the last. Thank you so much, Sherri. You're a really wonderful. It is a phenomenon. It is wonderful talking with you, and you educated us. I think that is people like you need to talk more and more about the multidimensional approach to the medicine. It is an absolute.
Thank you so much.
It is not a requirement. It's needed. It is a requirement. It is not just optional. It is a requirement in my view. In the education side, that's the only way healthcare can go to the next level. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.